Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Sports Talk. We have breaking news, man. I knew about this since 9:30 this morning, but I was very busy, so I didn't get a chance to report about it. But Mike Malone, the Denver Nuggets have fired the head coach and GM. They fired Mike Malone and the general manager. It was tough. It was tough. Both, you have a couple games left. A couple games left, from the playoffs, and you went in there. Well, the son, not the owner. Well, the son's the governor of the team. The father. They had a meeting this morning to which again, they always do that since Malone's been there. Since George Karl, they love to have a game plan for the playoff. What's going on? Of course, they lost four straight games, and there's been a lot of things in the locker room, and fighting between him, Mike Malone, the Michael Malone, the head coach, and the general manager, fighting together because the GM's telling him, hey, he drafted the player that he drafted. Malone hasn't played them, and he's saying that we lost 4 straight games. There were opportunity for you to give them a chance to play. Malone hasn't done that. Malone's old school. He's old school. He likes to do things his way. He trusts more the veteran players than he does the rookies. Also, what he's looking at with the son, he told the son that. Not so much the GM. He said, hey, we had veteran players after we won the championship last year. We won a championship. Not last year, the year before or whatever. They won a championship 2 years ago. They won a championship. When they won the championship, that Malone went to the GM to make sure that, to re-sign the core players. And they didn't do that because the owner, the son, the father's, is involved, but the son is more involved in the day-to-day. What's going on? The father's more, he's older guys, but his focus is more on, he's the chairman of, the board. He just focused more on the son's running the team, so he just did. But Mike Malone went to the GM to say, hey, you need to re-sign these players to keep the core. But the son was like, no, we're not trying to spend money like that. They want us to go younger. To develop the young talent, which is why the GM went in, of course, draft those young players, and also got a couple undrafted players to come in to replace a lot of those guys, and at the end you give Westbrook that contract you give him. He could have got more money. Westbrook could have, he could have got more money somewhere else, but he stayed because of the treatment with Mike Malone and everybody else. He felt comfortable. He wanted to win a championship. He felt like this was the best opportunity for him to win a championship. They were right there, So he wanted to be part of that. Again, so it hasn't been working. Because of the infighting in the locker room, a lot of pointing fingers. So the GM, of course, told Mike Malone, you need to, because you need to make sure that to play those players. And then there were a couple words being said. The ownership, of course, they were in the building. The son said a lot of things to Mike Malone and the GM. So they were, at one point it was Malone with the GM, and then it turned into the GM and the coach attacking the owner. Not attacking, not physical, but they had to be separated. So hey. But at the end, the ownership, the father, the son asked the father to stay out of it, and which he did. And from that moment, he told them, hey, this is what I want done. I need you to have a plan. But like I said, it's been brewing since they lost back-to-back. They haven't lost back-to-back like that. So losing 4 straight games, it looks like the plan is not working. And it's pretty much. It's like Malone saying, well, trust the process. We've done this before. We're going to do it. And the GM saying, hey, you need to play those younger players, because one, they're cheaper, and also you need to see what you have. You need to see what you have. And Malone is more, hey, I know the veteran can keep the veteran, because the ownership wanted to bench Russell Westbrook, and he wasn't going to do that. Mike Malone was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep Westbrook out there. He's one of the veterans, one of the leaders. I'm going to keep him. I'm going to keep him there. And then the ownership tell him, hey, it's either you do that, or we're gonna go elsewhere. Mike Malone said, well, I'm the only coach who's won more games in the history of the franchise. He's the only coach who won more games. He gave you a championship that you didn't have. You know what I mean? He gave you a championship that you didn't have. So he's like, hey, you can't fire me. You know what I mean? You can't fire me. I'm gonna have to come out of it. So the ownership, the son, the father at that point, he left the room because it was getting somewhere he didn't want to, and the son told Mike Malone, you're fired. You're fired, because like who the hell are you talking to like that? Malone said, I'm talking to you. You don't know what's going on. And the son said, okay, you know what? Let me show you what's going on. You fired. So the son fired Mike Malone, which is crazy. And the GM said, what the hell are you doing? You can't do that. You can't just fire him. This guy's been winning for us. What's going on? The owner, the son, of course. Well, he's the owner. He's the governor of the team, just like Jeannie Buss is the governor of the Lakers. So the father let the son run the team. So after firing Mike Malone, he told the GM, you know what? You also fired. You know what I mean? It's crazy, man. Both of the contract was up anyway. You know what I mean? They were trying to do that. So it is tough. I think you have 4 games left. 4 games left before before the end of the regular season, right? This is not something crazy. You got 10 games left with the Grizzlies fire their head coach, but just right now you have 4 games left. 4 games left, from the regular season, gearing up for the playoffs, and you went along and fired, you fire your head coach and general manager like that. And I know, and I understand. Listen, when you own a team, I'm not just owning the team. When you're in a position, you are in a leadership position, and then you telling people who report to you to do certain things, and they're not trying to do it, right? They tell you, no, I don't want to do it, and that's something that, hey, I've asked you to do something, and you don't want to do it. At that point, you got to move on from them. And I think that's exactly what the ownership group did. But sometimes too, you got to check your ego. You got to make sure, yeah, this is not about you. This is the head coach who knows what he's doing. Yes, you lost four straight games. I think the first 2 games they lost, it was like, okay, now the GM was like, okay, hey, all right, you lost back to back. Let's see what's going on. You lost 3 straight. Now it's a different conversation. 4 straight games. Now they're telling you, hey, Russell Westbrook is not, he had a perfect opportunity for a layup, and he missed that. He could have dunked the ball. I understand he's an older player, so he doesn't have the same speed, same stuff he had, but you could dunk the ball. Or man, easy layup in that game. Nikola Jokic had a game breaking. 17 plus rebounds, blocks, all the stuff. He was hitting on all cylinders, and to see that they lost the game, and even having finished having a monster game like that. So there was a lot of talk in the locker room because of that. And now you telling Mike Malone, hey, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. Now the GM telling him, hey, you need to start, you need to bench Russell Westbrook and then start some of the younger players, and then and I understand, and for Malone feel like, hey, the veteran players, were the reason why I got the championship. We won a championship because of the veteran players, and I'm gonna ride with them, you know. And he look at it, hey, if you're gonna blame me if we're losing, let me do it my way, you know. So that's what it is. So it is tough, right? It's a tough situation. It's it's tough to even to even imagine, man, to tell your player, hey, we just fired a head coach, not just we just fired your head coach. We fired a GM, not in the beginning of the season, not the end of the season, but you fire him. You went and fired him when you had 4 games left from the regular season, and you giving up this is the time to game plan for the playoffs, and you tell him, hey, we're gonna fire you. It's a tough pill to swallow, man. You know what I mean? But I think that Mike Malone could have played this a lot better as well, because this is your boss. This is your boss's boss talking to you. The yelling, all the stuff. It just, that's not leadership. You know what I mean? You talking to your boss. You gotta chill out. No matter what's going on, you gotta chill out, so you don't show your thing like that. So yeah, that's not good leadership. So you just show that you don't have the end of a working relationship, and that's not a good thing to have when you are in a position of power. Your boss asks you to do something, whatever. Hey, if you don't think that this is gonna work, have a better word to say, hey, I'm gonna try this, but I feel that I've done this way, this will be better. But you don't say no. To say no, we're not doing that. This is what I'm gonna do, because you know that you're the winners, coach in the history of the franchise. You won more games than anybody else, and you bought a championship. You thought that, hey, you were above it all, you were untouchable, and then you weren't, because the son is looking at it. Wait a minute, we're paying you all this money, to do that. I could get somebody cheaper, because now he's looking at the son, looking at the OKC young coach, and they won it, right? They went in with young players, young talent, right? He's looking at JJ Redick, who, first time coach coming in, doing his thing, have the Lakers, third in the East. Third in the West. So they playing tonight. Of course, LeBron's out tonight. They bench it. Of course, which is what I talk about with people. If I'm the Lakers, I do that, and I'm glad they're taking that advice as well. Not from me, but I'm just saying this is good. You bench Luka tonight. You said Luka tonight. You said LeBron. You said Luri. You said all the guys, and let the role players, let the bench come and play tonight. If you win, you win. You lose, it's cool. You know what I mean? You playing a back-to-back game. You playing Dallas tomorrow. You know what I mean? You beat Dallas. All the Lakers need is 2 games. You beat that. If they win tonight, great. You know what I mean? But you win it without your best players. And that's it. You playing without your best players. And you all they need is 2 games to clinch the 3rd seed. You know what I mean? So there's a possibility that Houston, the Rockets, might bench their players by the time they play, because you know what I mean. They might do that, depending on how it is. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, the Denver Nuggets, say, hey, to the head coach Mike Malone, you were fired. You fire the head coach, you fire then fire the GM as well. And that's a tough situation, man. Anyway, man, sports talk. Like, subscribe, and share, man. Peace out. I'm out.